I'm going to do this off the top of my head quickly this morning. Been thinking about it for a long time. Country needs to make a decision about who the primary enemy is. It's very important to make the right choice. And okay, so there's three possibilities: the Islamic world, China, or Russia. I've already said that I feel that I feel that the concerning the Islamic world, that the Arab Spring tells us more about who they are than 9/11. 9/11 was perpetrated by 15 guys that are backed up by 100 to 200,000 other terrorists. The rest of the Islamic world is ready for democracy. And we keep working with their dictators to keep them down. And it's also with the electronic surveillance and stuff. I mean, anybody that wants to, any kind of democratic movement in an autocratic society has got a lot of strikes against it, which is something we should consider since we've got a would-be autocrat over at the top of us. Which brings us to the decision between China and Russia. I'll have more to say about China and why I don't want them to replace us in the West. Basically, when Xi Jinping made himself president for life, that kind of showed the reason why the world should not go down China's path. However, they're not the primary enemy. Imagine your neighborhood. On one side, you have a neighbor who you just can't. They moved in a few years ago. They into a dilapidated property, and they put their body and soul into making that property valuable. Constant work, and they raised your property value. So you were behind them for a while. You thought, oh, this is great. We finally got somebody here to clean up the property on the other side of me, on the other side of my fence. But they never stopped. Okay, they now have a nicer garden than you. They just keep working. New addition on the garage. Ripped out the top floor of their house and put in new bedrooms up there. They've got all kinds of lighting up their driveway, and so people are kind of looking to them as kind of being the neighborhood leader, whereas that's the way they looked at you before, and you're ready to sort of coast, and you've made your property what you want it to be, and you just want to kind of coast, and here you got to keep up with these Joneses on the other side, and it's wearing you out, and you're getting a little envious, okay, of the intensity of the labor, the intensity of the effort that they're putting into their property. That's China. On the other side is the white trash, okay? That's the guy who is still lowering your property values, okay? The garden there's no garden. It's the front yard is just weeds. There's a dilapidated vehicle in the, he's keeping one car for parts, and the other one, he's cannibalizing that car to keep the one car that he's got going, which is a piece of crap also, but at least it runs. So that's the guy the Chinese the neighbor on the other side of the nice property. I mean, when he's out gardening stuff, he's got a nice clothes on. He never seems to break a sweat. This guy who never does any labor at all, you'll see him at the end of his driveway, and he's wearing a shirt with no sleeves on it. His armpits are sweating and hanging out, and he's rubbing his gut. And when he walks back to his house, he's kind of peering over the fence to leer at your pretty teenage daughter. Okay, that's the Russians. That's Russia. Tell me, who is your bigger enemy? The guy on one side who's raising the value of your property. That's a pain in the ass to keep up with, and that's getting more and more support in the neighborhood association, or is it this white trash pig on the other side? Okay, that's Russia. If you actually think the guy that's improving his property is your enemy, then you better take a real close look at your value system, because, you know, you're talking about the whole neighborhood going downhill if you know, if you sit there and line up with the Russian, because the Russian really hates this guy on the other side, because he really makes him look like a lazy piece of shit. Okay, that's the choice we have. Think it through. China is definitely a competitor. China, the to the extent that they don't play by the rules of international trade and, you know, currency manipulation and all that kind of stuff, sure. And we have tons of support for doing something about it. If we really wanted to, okay, so be assertive, do something about it, right? Give you an example. Samsung was from Finland, a Finnish company. Okay, I mean, Samsung could have driven little Finland into the most high-tech place on the planet, but when they wanted to penetrate the Chinese market, the Chinese said, you've got to, you know, share the technology with us. Okay, so now Samsung is basically a Chinese company, and that's so if you want to do something against China, don't you think Finland would be, to make them play by the rules, don't you think Finland would be on our side? But and all of Europe with them? But no, you want to have a trade war with everybody, you know, because you just want to show everybody that you've got the biggest dick of all. And that's just, it's immature. It's just immature, it's stupid, it's counterproductive. You're not going to get anywhere with that. You know, hopefully you can see that, can't you? I mean, you know, that's pretty obvious.